What is going on, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star Rail guide, and today I'm here with a guide for the 300% Cavern Relic drop rate event, and how to properly farm it to ensure you are getting the most value out of this event. As this video does release, this event is already out on both Asia and EU servers, and it will have 3 hours left till the reset does hit, so then once that reset hits, it will be out on NA servers as well, so just keep that in mind. So I'll be taking you over every single cavern and what I recommend and the reasons why I do and don't, so you, once again, will know how to properly farm this event. It is 3 times rep rates, but you're probably going to get a lot of garbage, but you want to make sure you have the best chance to get something good. So yeah, that's all I want to say before I get to the video. If you guys found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell for future videos like this, along with all the types of Star Rail content and guides, and let's get straight into the video. So starting it off with the first cavern, we do have the one with the Eagle set and also the Glacial set. Personally, I do not recommend farming this, even though Eagle is such a broken set. You are much better off just using Relic Remains to craft this set, as the next option is with the Glacial set, which is just not that great. Any character that is able to use this has a better option available to them, so Eagle set is definitely something you're better off using Relic Remains on, as the 4-piece is very much universal on both DPS, supports especially, even sustains for SP gen. Eagle set is just super strong, but it's paired with this set that you're really never going to use. The only good ice DPS we really have right now is actually the Herda, and she uses a completely different set. Jinglu can also use the set, but she also has a better set available to her as well now. And so there really just is not a point in farming this, and you're just better off once again using Relic Remains to make Eagle pieces. The next cavern is the one with the physical set and also the thief set. I don't recommend using this one either for your drops, just because the thief set usually is never going to be the best option either anymore. There are setups where the extra energy can help and it's good to have, but these are mainly pieces you would be having from if you are a long time player from other farming, and you really won't go out your way to farm it. There's better 2-piece breaks you could farm, better 4 pieces you can use on those characters as well. So usually the 4-piece is not something you definitely would go out your way to farm. And the physical set is really only used on 2 lesser used characters nowadays, so being Argenti and also Clara. And the gap of how strong it is very much low to comparing it to a 2-piece, as it's just 5 stacks of 5% attack, giving you up to a 25% increase to attack. And if you are someone that uses Argenti and Clara, you would get better pieces. It's another place where you are just better off using Relic Remains, as it's really just not a set worth farming anymore. Next option is going to be the sets with the Passerby set and also the Musketeer set. This one's also no longer recommended because either of these 4 pieces aren't too useful anymore. Musketeer 4-piece can be the best on someone like Hunt March 7th and IL Donhang, but the difference between a 4-piece Musketeers and running 2-piece is super minuscule, like 1 to 2% at that. And then when it comes to the 4-piece of the Passerby set, this can definitely help you do some setups at the beginning of the battle. But majority of team setups and the ways you can get extra skill points with, light cones, maybe extra skill point generators, fast sustains, for that really extra skill point you would need, there's a lot of options for that now rather than getting a 4-piece Passerby set. There's very few setups to the point where you actually would use a 4-piece, and it's usually used for the 2-piece nowadays. And for that farming, you're better off using Relic Remains, and you would never use Relic Remains for Musketeers, as if you really wanted that 2-piece attack, there is better options to farm. And as I mentioned, the 4-piece isn't that strong, so that's why I don't recommend farming this one either with your drops. Next one is the one with the Guard set and also the Genius set. This one's actually not too bad of an option to farm. You definitely can do it if you do have units that can benefit from both. You never really will ever use the 4-piece of the Guard set, but the 2-piece reducing damage taken by 8% is useful on sustains as like Fushuan, Japard, Aventurine. Even though they may have better options at times, the 2-piece can be a good alternative, and is honestly best with something like Fushuan especially. So if you are in the case where you could use the 2-piece specifically, then it's good. And then if you could also use the Genius set, usually you pair this with other characters that have high defense ignore or a hyper carry Noxa. If you just have the units that can benefit from the 4-piece, be it quantum DPS or not. So again, DPS is like hyper carry Noxa who can implant the weakness, or you just take it into innate quantum weakness battles, or units that also have higher defense shred and defense ignore sources. Then this would actually be a valuable relic set to farm. But if you, let's say, don't have people that would use the 2-piece guard, then it falls back into the situation where I recommend just using your Relic Remains to make Genius pieces, and also vice versa. If you don't have any use for the Genius set and you just want the 2-piece here, then just make the pieces Relic Remains. Next cavern is the one with the Knight set and also the Band set. This is one I also don't recommend too much because the 4-piece of the Knight set can be used on Japard and Aventurine and such for those builds, but the actual Band set can be used on the lightning DPSs such as Kafka, Jingguan, even Acheron. but it is very much weaker than their best options. Kafka, you have the dot set, Jingwan, you have the follow-up set, which are funny enough in the same cavern, and then Acheron, you have the debuff set, which they're all significantly better. So the band set really does not have its valuable. It is a viable second option to fall back on, but it is not one you want to waste your drops on. So if you do have a use for the knight set, you're better off once again using your Relic Remains. Next one is the one with the Firesmith set and also the Wastelander set. The Wastelander set is actually still a valuable 4-piece, 2 characters that actually would benefit from it, so debuffed enemies and also having them in prison, such as like a DPS Welt and such, and other imaginary DPS. Units that actually can benefit from it are the ones that can actually have them in prison and benefit off it. Like, you obviously don't want to imprison with someone like Mide, just because if they're in prison, they'll attack you less. But with someone like Welt, it can be beneficial, but it's kind of fallen off because it's still a good effect, but not many people use it. And usually there's more effective ways to farm. And when it comes to the Firesmith set, it's practically a set that no one ever used. The 2-piece and combining with the 2-piece with something else is usually the way you go, but it is nowhere near worth farming on 300% drops especially, and it was never worth it overall because you would never use the 4-piece in general. So overall, I definitely do not recommend farming this cavern either. Next one is the one with the max HP set and also Hackerspace. This one is actually a pretty good one to farm because the max HP set itself has the 2-piece that's good for the increase to max HP, so having it 2-piece and combining it with 2-piece to something else on an HP scaling DPS maybe, or even something like a healer that does scale off max HP will benefit from it. And if you have someone like Blade specifically, he optimizes the 4-piece of the actual set itself. It's a good fallback option for other characters that can also benefit from it. There's really not many people that use the 4-piece properly. It's just Blade who uses it optimally, and the rest usually have it as a option of why you're farming a better option. You just have this as a fallback. But the 2-piece is very commonly used in 2-piece setups, and Hackerspace is still an extremely valuable set with the 2-piece increasing speed and 4-piece giving 12% speed to all allies when you do use an ultimate on an ally. Helps you with good speed tuning, helps you hit certain speed thresholds in battle, you know you can do certain stuff. It's still a very, very powerful set you can use, so if you are in the situation where you have something like Blade or a lot of characters that can use the 2-piece setups, and you also do have supports that will do Hackerspace well, and maybe setups you can think of that will help you in battle to hit certain thresholds, then this is actually a very valuable one you can farm. Next one is the one with the Grand Duke set and also the Prisoner set. If you do have follow-up characters such as like Topaz and Jingwan especially, and you still do actively use them, then the actual Grand Duke set is pretty valuable. Topaz can actually do better with the Pioneer set instead, but this is another good option you can use, and with Jingwan, it is still his best in slot. The other follow-up characters, there's some others like Jade who can use it, but it's not their best. And then when it comes to the dot set, it's just for your dot characters, so if you still use dot or you want to get better pieces for your dot characters, and you also have the follow-up characters that can benefit from it, this does actually become valuable. But let's say you maybe have no dot characters and you don't care about dot, but you use someone like Jingwan or Topaz, then you're better off using your Relic Remains. Same thing with vice versa. If you have neither of those characters and you actually just want to prioritize your dot characters, then just once again use your Relic Remains. Next one is the one with the Pioneer and Watchmaker set. This cavern is actually still extremely valuable because Pioneer is still usually always the best for characters who can actually utilize it fully, and Watchmaker is still optimal to run on someone like Ruan Mei or Henry Trailblazer and such. You know, one, you can't stack it unfortunately, so you just have it on one of them. So if you want to get better pieces for, let's say, your Henry Trailblazer, your Ruan Mei and such, ones who can actually proc the 4-piece, it actually is valuable, and you probably do have DPSs that can benefit from Pioneer. There are so many characters that can use Pioneer set effectively, and it often does become their best in slot if they are able to fully utilize it. So if you do have DPS that can benefit from this, and you also have something like Hammer Trailblazer or Ruan Mei that can use better pieces, or you just want to get the 2-piece even for, you know, 2-piece break and combining it with something else for some other character, this actually becomes a very valuable one you can farm. Next one is the one with the Iron Calvary set and the Wind-Soaring set. If you are a break DPS user, so Boot Hill, Rappa, Firefly, then Iron Calvary is going to be a good one for you to farm, as it is always their best in slot. And if you, on the contrary, also do have someone like Yunli or Feixiao who would benefit from this, or maybe you also use someone actively like Mose, if you do have the combination of using break DPS and also have those characters that I did mention, then this actually is extremely valuable to farm. But let's say you don't have Yunli, you don't use Mose, you don't have Feixiao, or you don't really care about using her, but you mainly just want to go for your break characters, then I would just use your Relic Remains on this, and same thing with vice versa. If you don't use break characters and you have Feixiao, Yunli and such, and you would only benefit from this, then I would only really recommend using Relic Remains. It would only be best if you do have 1 or 2 characters that benefit from both sets to make it valuable. Next one is the one with the Relieved Ordeal set and the Scholar set. This is probably the most valuable one you can farm to this day. as the Relieved Ordeal is the best install for very powerful characters such as Sunday, Sparkle, Bronya, and such, and even 2-piece speed alone is super valuable, and practically every account is going to be using a combination of something like Sparkle, Bronya, Sunday, and so on, and you definitely have characters that can benefit from getting the 2-piece as well. On the contrary, we do have Scholar here, which is insanely powerful for really strong DPSs in the game right now, so the Herda, Mide, Anaxa, and so on. There's a lot of characters that benefit a ton from this, and the 2-piece giving 8% crit rate is a fantastic 2-piece to pair with something else as well. So practically everyone is going to benefit some form of farming Scholar, and same thing with Relieved Ordeal, so this is definitely one of the most recommended ones I could recommend anyone to farm. But obviously that would change player to player, so you may have less need for this and have more need of something else that I mentioned, so again, keep that in mind. And the last one is the one with the hero set and also the poet set. This one is actually very valuable, but can also be very not valuable depending on your account. Poet set is good for 2 to 3 very strong characters, mainly being something like Castress, Jade, Tribby. So getting better pieces for them would be very beneficial, while the hero set is really only good for Aglaia. It also is good on Remembrance MC, but Remembrance MC also has other options available to them as well, while this would just mainly be something for Aglaia. So if you have Aglaia, you obviously have RMC because you know, free character. This becomes a valuable set to farm, and if you also have someone like Tribby, which most people do, also Castress, who's a very commonly owned DPS, maybe you're one of the few that actually own Jade as well, and this set you can actually do some cool setups where you have low speed on characters that already exist that have lower speed that you don't build with any speed, so like Yunli, Clara, the Herda, and some setups actually can use it as well. If you have a setup where someone can use a 4-piece, then this actually does become valuable as well to use. So in those cases where you can do that setup, or you once again have someone like Tribby, Jade, or Castress, and then at the same time you do have Aglaia or RMC who would want the set, then this becomes valuable. But let's say you don't have Aglaia, or you also don't use RMC, or both, then it would just be one that you're farming for, so it's not as valuable, and you're better off once again just using Relic Remains. And the same thing applies where if you maybe don't have Tribby yet, or you just don't plan on getting Tribby, you don't have Castress, you don't have any setups where you want to use the 4-piece, but you have Aglaia and you also want to put this on RMC, then once again, the good old Relic Remains will be your way to go. And if that is every single cavern and what I do recommend and not farming, pretty much the idea is really just picking one that has 2 valuable sets you want to do, because even though it is 300% drops, we cannot choose which ones we are actually going to get when it comes to these drops. So you want to make sure you get the best out of both worlds, so every drop you do get, it's going to be a chance of being something that's good for you. So you would pick one that has 2 different good ones you could benefit from. So if you get a really good piece on the set that maybe is not your priority, but you still don't mind, that will still benefit from you, as if you were farming only a specific one and you just get a bunch of the other ones, then you're not going to have a good day. I have a good chunk of characters that would love to get better Pioneer pieces, but I do not need Watchmaker whatsoever anymore. So Watchmaker pieces would be relatively useless for me, so that's why I'm not going to personally farm this. While I have a bunch of characters that would benefit from better Scholar pieces and also better Relieved Ordeal pieces, so I am most likely going to be farming this one myself. That's sort of how you want to look at it. But yeah, that is the full guide. Once again, I hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, drop a like, it would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of style content and guides. And I'll see you later. Peace out.